Hey, welcome back to the Success and Significance Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Newman, and today I have an amazing guest. Her name is Tamra Andress, and she is on fire for everything that she sets her mind to. She's an amazing friend. She's a speaker. She's an author. She's an entrepreneur, and I am excited for you to hear the wisdom that she has on this podcast. So listen up, get your notebook out, and enjoy this podcast. Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome back to the Success and Significance Podcast. I have an amazing guest with us today, Tamra Andress. I am super honored. She's not just a guest, she's a mentor of mine. Her and I are in the thick and the throes of just trying to figure out what does success look like so that we can pour out significance. Thank you so much for joining me.
Total pleasure.
Are you excited?
Yes, this has been something I wanted you to do for years, officially and consistently, and now it's happening.
Consistently is the word,
I
right?
know.
So
I'm proud of you.
So we are doing it, and so I appreciate you being here today. We're going to jump right in. I'm going to try to make sure that I tell the world how amazing you are. Your heart is amazing, the way that you faithfully pour out to the community, but the other part too, which is the significance side, and the reason that you're sitting in this chair is the way that you pour out to your family, and you constantly look to other people just to love and serve them better. So I appreciate you being here. We're going to jump right in. And so Success and Significance Podcast, the whole concept of it is that I truly believe that those two can exist at the same time. Most people, they fight for success, they wait towards the end of their life, and then they try to pour out significance. And I think that life is much more beautiful and bigger than that. So You are a testimony to that. So I'm going to ask you the first question. You ready?
I'm ready.
I think you got it. Share with the listeners a little bit about just who you are and how you've gotten to this point and how long you've been doing what you're doing.
Yep. So you said my name well, Tamra Andress.
I was nervous.
Yes. And I am so many things. It's like the bio statement that everybody wants you to kind of wrap off right here. So people kind of give you that lens of success. And I love to just start with the daughter of the king, because that's my most successful role, is to be a Christian and a faithful follower of Christ. And that is not everyone's prerogative. And yet I know that from a success lens, that's really the statement that I hold true to. I am also a wife and a mama of two, and I have been running two different companies, specifically nonprofit, for-profit. You play in both worlds and know the nonprofit sector well, which is why I kudos, because there's so much more than people think, right? They're just like, oh, I'm starting a ministry. And it's so much more than that. But I have a publishing house, and I also run a nonprofit connected to kingdom leaders. And so people who are ready to share their words, their message to the world and to turn it into a movement. I help in both those sectors to do that.
Very cool. You're also an author.
I am,
yourself,
yeah.
right?
I've got like 7 books.
There
I've
you
got
go.
2
Just
more
only,
in queue.
Just 7 books. That's all right.
7. I want to keep writing. If I could write and speak, that's what I would do. I've got 3 podcasts of my own. So that's pretty fun. Yeah.
3
podcasts.
amazing.
Yeah. This is wild. Here's your consistency track. Ready? So I believe I'm 5 years in my 6th year now. Never missed a week in 6 years. And now I drop 4 episodes a week.
4 episodes
Four
a week.
episodes a week.
Frames, we got some work to do, buddy. So we're just starting out. So I will eventually maybe be that way. That's the one thing that I love about you is you're an entrepreneur too. Yeah. So you're a follower of Jesus. You're an entrepreneur. You're a phenomenal mom, an amazing wife. But you're doing both of those simultaneously.
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge? So jumping from nonprofit to for-profit, and I know this wasn't on the question, but I'm very intrigued. Is like, what do you think is the largest challenge between jumping from for-profit and nonprofit?
Oh, man. There's business entity conversations, right? Taxes, all that stuff. But I would say drumming up interest and not feeling like you're wearing a sales hat is probably the biggest thing, because nothing that I do technically is sales, but everything that I do is technically sales.
Correct.
And so
everything affects everything.
Everything.
Right.
And so I have told myself for a really long time, I'm bad at sales. It's a language that I had to completely shift and change. And my husband, who literally has been doing sales since he was 19 years old, who is phenomenal at it, has always been my mentor in that realm. And I keep telling him now that he is potentially jumping into the nonprofit side here in the next season of his life, is like, you just come in and do that part, right? So I don't have to do it.
Right.
And as a mentor, even though he is my spouse, he also is always challenging me to say, Tamra, how about you become really good at it? And so over the last
He's so
year and a
wise.
half,
Gary is an amazing
he
human.
is, he is.
Behind every entrepreneur,
Yes.
there has to be someone like Gary. My wife is the same way. Gary, if you're listening to this, I love you, bro. You are amazing. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Sorry. Side note.
No, it's the most important side note. And so, he's just really propelled me into understanding what is sales, and what we've been presented at is technically a lie around what sales is versus what it should be. And so you're such an example to this of what a servant leader is. And we're constantly selling. I could sell you my suit that I'm wearing right now. I could sell you my hair product. And I never think of it.
Anything.
Yeah, like Shure Mics is what I got. SM7B, they're great, right? And click the affiliate link below.
There you go. It will be there. It will be there.
But thinking about those things, like if I just shift my energy towards a thing that I don't like and turn it into something that I do like, I now become attracted to it. And now my magnetism quality for everyone else, whenever I talk about my companies, it's totally different than what it used to be.
Right. And you're a trailblazer as well. Also, so as an entrepreneur, right? Back in the day when I was growing up, entrepreneur wasn't a bad word, but when I was going to school, I would tell the guidance counselor, like, I don't learn the same way that everybody does. I'm probably not going to be the guy that goes to college. Like, I'm an entrepreneur. So for me, it was at a very early age when I realized I was an entrepreneur. But for you, when did you realize that you had the heart of an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I was always really invested into leadership. So I was running, student government since I was in the second grade.
I can definitely see that.
I was that kid, okay? It was cool. I always tell people it's cool.
Question
My husband does not agree. So, I've been on microphones since I was little. I've been on TV stations since I was small. So, but it was always under the lens of leadership. So the word entrepreneur really didn't hit me until I went to business school. I went to James Madison University, and our junior year, we had to do a business plan competition. And we got number 2 at the university, and the investors approached our group, and it was a cohort. And I was under the management understanding at that point. And they basically were like, whoever is interested in this or where this idea was planted from, you need to run with it. It's brilliant. And at that point, I realized, oh my gosh, I think I want to start my own company. I don't want to be a manager, even though that was what all my tests told me I was supposed to do, because who really knows what they want to do when they're 20?
I don't even know what a manager is, but
Right.
anyways, that's like a bad word in this
Yes,
organization.
it was like not fun. A director.
No, you're a leader, not a
Yes.
manager.
So really at that point was when I decided, okay, I'm not going to a job fair and I am going to start this thing. And so I think of all of the words I would say now under the understanding of entrepreneur as just someone who is willing to experience. And
Curiosity, being
it's
curious.
so fun and adventure. Like, I'm a risk taker. That's probably the number one thing that entrepreneurs need, is the willingness to approach risk and have a safe relationship with risk, which is kind of like an oxymoron.
Yeah.
But if you have a safe relationship with risk, then you can pretty much do anything you want.
That's good. Risk, there is no success without risk. And I'm a firm believer, like, just from the businesses that I've ran, like, I think it's 11 so far, and all of them have pretty much failed, except for the one that I'm in now. Now, failure is a different type. The way you look at it, you learn. But if I had never taken the risk, I probably wouldn't have failed, but I wouldn't be sitting here now.
Yeah.
And if you're listening and you're thinking of kind of what Tamra is, if you're going to school, you're thinking about what does success look like for you, really what I just heard you say is, like, to be an entrepreneur, you got to take the risk.
Yes.
And you're going to experience failure.
Yep.
And so for me, to get to success, you have to walk through failure. Can you share with some of the listeners, like, most recent failure, or the one that has set you on the course? So walk me through some failures.
Yeah, I would say the one that's been the most trying, and it's been consistent actually, is relationships connected to partnerships.
Yeah, people.
Yes, people is the hardest, thing. And we were talking about that even before we got on air, is just like developing people while also ourselves, right? Some of my biggest failure points were my lack of character, my lack of integrity. And so walking that out and realizing, wow, in order for me to be this effective leader that I thought I already was, I have to understand, and they're buzzwords right now, but they are important if you know the truth to them, of authenticity and vulnerability.
Correct.
And so with partnerships, it's just understanding that a partner, just like marriage, it's not 50-50. It never will be. It's 100
100%.
and 100.
Yep.
And that is very hard to find, especially for people like us who move at a pace that's just like, woo, woo, right? Like, where are they going? And I have very high expectations, not for perfection, but for excellence. And that's biblical.
Excellence is not a crime either.
Right.
Like,
No.
and it's not just so much for excellence so you can beat your chest.
Correct.
It's excellence for the person that you're doing. Even this podcast, like,
Yes.
excellence. The reason that we want excellence is because of the person listening.
Yeah.
To be able, so that we can continue to pour out. I'm a firm believer. Excellence is not a crime.
Yeah.
1000%. So the people part's the hard part.
Yep.
So have you experienced loss? If a listener right now, like, so key people in the organization, like how do you approach those type of things, like with loss of people, which the biggest currency in any business, any organization is people.
Yeah.
How do you deal with some of that?
So some of the things that I've had to process, because some of my dearest friends have left my company.
Oh, it's hard.
And they also started my company with me. And so people will say, don't get into business with family and friends, right? And I actually am not a proponent of that fully. I understand the truth behind that.
Right. There's parameters around
Correct,
it, right?
100%. But when I think about culture, I am developing a culture of family. Every day, all day.
That's good.
And a lot of people are like, don't do that. You need to be separate, all of these things. Yes, there are boundaries. Yes, there are all of those. But when those particular relationships went different ways, we are still dear friends. We're in each other's lives. But that didn't happen very organically, very seamlessly.
Right.
It took me and my communication skills. And I would say of all the things as a leader we need to hone in on is our communication skills. Yep. And so I also reframed, just like I reframed what is a partnership and I reframed what is sales, I had to renew my mind about what does it look like for this friend to not be any longer in that sphere of influence, but in the safe haven of just being a friend.
Right.
And that it's okay for them to be in that space. And also that they didn't quit. And they didn't quit on me, and they didn't quit on the vision.
But you have to choose. You have to choose
totally
to have that mindset. That's not what you're saying. It's not organic.
No, it really was a lot of training and conversations with her, because she felt, and they felt, there's not just one, it's multiple people have felt their own sense of shame to feel like they're just leaving me high and dry, and or that the gifts that I've given them in those seasons is not enough, whether it's financially, whether it's exposure, whatever that be. But that somebody gave me this beautiful wisdom, and his name is Daryl Stinson. He's a 2-time TEDx speaker. Shout out to Daryl. He's amazing. You know Daryl, actually. Mm-hmm. And he said, Tamra, what if instead of looking at it like they quit or they left you, you look at it like they've been sent out? And these people I'm speaking about in my mind and in my heart, they actually now have their own businesses, and they are actually operating in the full anointing that God has created them for.
Right.
And I was actually keeping them down.
So that right there, that's gold, that's nugget. And the way, like in leadership in general, leadership is influence, right?
Yes.
So then you have influence over amazing people that work for you. Mm-hmm. And then when it's their time, we have to be the archer that allows, if not, don't break the arrow, right? This is an arrow, and what better way, what of significance to even roll me into the next question? And I know some of the people that you're talking about, but what better way to live a life of significance? Because selfishly, like successfully wise, you want to keep them, but more than likely.
Yes.
But success and significance is saying, no, what's best for them, praying through it, walking through it, and having the fierce, hard conversations, awkward.
Yes.
A lot of tears.
Yes.
A lot of sleepless nights.
Yes.
I'm speaking this
He knows
to you,
it all.
but like it's that stuff that as leaders, if you're fighting for success only, it's easy to keep the arrow and try to break the arrow.
Totally.
But if you're fighting for significance, it's your job as the leader to be able to shoot them into the community, which you've done.
Yep.
So what does significance look like to you? So, I mean, what you just said was probably one of the most interesting fact, like what you're speaking, I was like, oh, I've been there. Like I'm leaning into every word.
Yeah.
But for you, what does significance mean, and what does that look like?
Yeah, I was processing this when I knew the name of your podcast and all of the wisdom that you were going to bring to the table. And a couple of years ago, when I was developing a faith and business conference, and I was really praying over who I wanted to be in the room and the avatar and how I wanted to serve those people. Success is what a lot of people are going after. And now this shift of like, I want to make an impact, which is significant, right? It's significance to be able to do that. The Lord gave me the word sustenance. And he said, it's sustenance over success. And so when I process sustenance, it immediately brings me to like, what is hearty? What is something that someone can take home, whether it's from a conference, whether it's from this podcast, whether it's from my day-to-day just living, and it's fruit. And so for those who aren't familiar with Galatians 5:22, it's love, peace, joy, kindness, gentleness, self-control, which we could talk about later. All of these other pieces, patience, like forbearance. Nobody wants to raise their hand. I want more forbearance, right? That's not the thing.
And I've always heard don't pray for patience either, because then it comes. So
Every
then you have
time.
to figure it out.
But like, I know that one of my gifts is to spread joy. And it's an easy gift. And so and I say easy, it took me a lot to get that fruit,
Right.
a lot of tears to bring joy.
That's not something natural. Again, if
No.
it came natural, then we wouldn't be told to pray for it, right? So
Right.
because naturally I wouldn't have to pray for it.
No. It is something I have yearned for, and I had to shift from happiness to joy. And that was a long 3-year cycle.
Right.
Okay. So just don't think it's going to come overnight.
Well,
It
you
takes
said
time.
something there too. It's a shift, right?
Yes.
So success almost, and that's what a lot of people are looking for, is the roadmap.
Yeah.
Which here, we're going to figure out the roadmap to success to pour out the significance.
Yeah.
So success can sometimes be a roadmap that you read in a book,
Yes.
that you listen to a podcast, but significance is a heart shift.
Yes.
And the heart work is the hard work.
Yeah.
And so from that side of it, the level, like to pray for the peace, to pray for the joy, and even if it's not prayer, like seeking it,
Yes.
it be above all else, seeking joy above
Yes.
P&L,
Yes.
profit and loss,
Yeah.
is hard.
Yes.
So how do you navigate that side? Like, because everything as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
if you're not failing, Tamra,
Right.
I would say failing in business, then
Yeah.
you're failing as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
right? Because you have to fail, you have to choose to pick yourself up
good.
and to move forward.
Yeah.
So if you're not failing,
Yeah.
I would have a conversation with you. Like, and I ask you this sometimes, hey, tell me your most important moment that you've just done, your most
Yeah.
successful, but tell me how you failed.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about failure. For how do you not quit in the failure?
Yeah.
That's-
Obedience.
Yeah, but that's hard. I agree.
Yeah. It's
But what does that mean? Expand a little bit.
so when you're given a vision, right? And
Right.
it could be a short-term vision, it could be a long-term vision. And you know what it looks like. And like literally when I'm closing my eyes right now, like I know what it looks like in so many different facets. And just walking around your facility today, right? Like there was a vision of this at one point. It started in a Connex box, but we're in a Connex box now, but it's Matt
it has
Daddy.
AC
It's
in it.
amazing.
Yeah, this is strategic, not out of
It
desperation.
is so amazing. But thinking about that, right? There's been vision. And so I'm not a quitter. And because I'm not a quitter, God knows this about me. I'm going to fail a lot at I'm not going to quit. And I don't believe that we're entrusted with full vision if we are quitters. And so I know a lot of people who lack vision. And we know if they lack vision, people will perish.
Correct.
We know people will quit out on life. They will work towards retirement. There's no retirement in the Bible. I have no desire to ever retire.
Yeah, I can't imagine. So I can project that on me. But
Yeah.
even knowing what I know about you, there is no retirement for
No.
Tamra. Like even at 80, you're going to have a retirement home, like preaching the gospel.
Yes,
So
like come out. I'm going to host
Right.
you. It's going to be amazing.
I think, but so
Yeah.
obedience, yes. But there's a lot of people listening right now that they are on the borderline of potentially quitting their job
Yeah.
or quitting a ministry.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that. It's
Yeah.
running rampant.
All
Like
the time.
pastors are leaving, nonprofit
Yes.
people are leaving. How do you sit in it, the mess? Like obedience is one thing, just to sit.
right.
And I know through obedience, like the way to be obedient is through prayer.
Yeah.
But what do you do when you're just in the muck?
Yeah.
Where
So-
you're borderline, like, this is it, I'm going to quit, or do you never get there?
Oh no, I get there a lot. And
Okay.
I have tears in my husband's chest being like, this
Yep.
is so hard.
Breathing in the brown paper
Yes,
bag, like, I can't breathe.
This is so
Right.
hard. But everything in my blood tells me otherwise. And literally, I jump out of bed with the energy that you hear me have now. Like
Right.
I'm a morning person, so that's natural. But
I've talked to you early morning. I'm like, Tamara, what are you doing? That's
I
crazy.
am not caffeinated. That's what you need to know.
That's the great.
It's
There is no
literally-
caffeine.
It's just a
It's
gift.
joy of the spirit.
It is.
But that's what I love. Your personality. Like,
Yeah.
You breathe joy.
Right.
You into me, into the world as you walked into every team member that you met.
Yeah.
But I know that doesn't come
Right.
easy.
So let me give you the answer that you're looking
Okay.
for my answer anyway. And it's so connected to you, which is why I love what you do. I stack play. in everything that I do. There is not a day that I do not play.
Right.
And
That's
it might
good.
be with my kids. It might be with my husband. We might have a tickle fight. It might be that
Oh, easy, Gary. Easy.
Right? Like the kids are around. Let's be serious, guys. Clear your mind.
There you go.
I just came from a dance class, and I just 2 weeks ago was like, you know what? I love to dance, and I haven't formally taken dance in like 20 years. And so I was like, I'm going to sign up for hip hop dance
That's
classes.
awesome.
And it's just me and the choreographer, and it's hard. It's fun. I get outside of my mind, right? And I think if we dwell in our mind space, we miss out on play.
Right.
And so get connected to your body, get connected to the ground, right? That's why people are very advocates for grounding. And we live in the most beautiful place at the beach. And so getting outside and playing. And when I stack those things, I become small. And the
That's
problem
good.
becomes small.
That's
If
good.
I don't, my problem is the only thing I can see, and I would quit.
Awesome. So good. I appreciate it. So last couple of episodes before this, I talked about, I believe that there's these 3 questions, and that's what my next book is about, is the walking stick. And it's these 3 questions that can help you navigate at life's crossroads. So I'm going to ask you these.
Yeah.
This is something that I'm going to ask every single guest. So the questions are, and I truly believe that they're a sounding block and an anchor for when things get crazy. A lot of the stuff to what we just talked about. So the
Okay.
first one is, Tamra, who are you? These are simple,
They're
but
simple.
they're hard.
I'm like, gosh, in like a quick response, the first thing that comes to mind is I'm found.
That's good.
found.
I need more. So tell
Yeah.
me a little bit more on that.
So not only because it's a part of both my for-profits name and nonprofit name, but
Right.
a founder is kind of where I raise my hand, and I want others to raise their hand. And it's
Right.
under Ephesians 2:19 through 22. And it talks to be around, I'm founded on a solid foundation. I am on a sturdy place. So I don't have to be grasping for success. I'm already successful in where I stand. I've already been gifted that platform. And I'm not
Regardless of the zeros in your bank account.
100%.
Yep.
Right. And none of those things matter when it comes to my identity. And so who
good.
I am is an identity question.
Yep.
And nothing around me changes. When everything changes, I am still me.
That's good.
So I'm found.
There you go. All right. So the next one. So this is, I know that you have a lot on this one. So Tamra, what is it that you believe?
I believe we are sent here with purpose. I believe we should live a life of purpose and chasing after purpose every single day. So ultimately, I believe no one is here without intention.
Not a single human.
No
Yeah,
breath is
right.
without purpose. And so if we are looking to what does this breath mean, you'll go back to the first question, which is identity. And then you'll start living in that place of truth, and everything will change.
Yep. And it's the order too, right?
Yes.
So it's your identity.
Yes.
And then what do you believe is like your values.
Yes.
And then you got to know what you believe
Yes.
before you can determine where you're going.
Yep.
So my last question is, where are you going?
I love this question. I'm an activator, right? So I'm never sitting still. Like, this is hard for me, but my heart is moving
I'm so proud of
1,000
you, by the way. Like,
places.
you've done really good.
Where am I going? I'm going global.
Let's
I'm
go.
going around the world, and I want to bring this joy to those unmarked places.
That's good. The significance of what you just said too, though, is that you had the answers to those 3 questions, which then determine you know who you are. Because along those 3 questions, just because you have the answer doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
Right.
But it is the thing that you lean on when things are hard.
Yeah.
And that's the whole concept of like, these are the 3 questions. These are the walking stick of life. Something you don't need a walking stick if land is flat, if things are good. Same thing with your values, right? If you're running an organization right now, your values, if things are going good, your margins are up, you're not looking at your values.
Right.
You're looking at like conquering ground, taking ground
Yes.
for whatever namesake that you're chasing.
Yeah.
But the idea is like you need the walking stick when things get rough.
Yeah.
But everything you just said, and I knew you'd be able to like put it in that spicy nugget that you always do. But that's why for you, Tamra, like you are the definition of success and significance. But success too, like fight for success
Yeah.
to pour out significance. And I'm just honored. I love you. I'm
love
so
you too.
proud of you. I know that God's got great things in store for you. I appreciate that you are one of the people that got me in this seat. And you have convinced me to be consistent. I think we're doing it, right? And I'm just honored that you chose to spend some time with us. Everybody listening, I hope that you are honored to be able to just hang out with us for a few minutes. And you should go back, if you don't have your journal, you should go back and nuggetize some of the stuff that Tamra said, because those are some power statements and sticky statements that I encourage you to write down, to read over until it becomes a part of your DNA. And Tamra, you live it out loud, and I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
Until next time, I'm your host, Eric Newman with Success and Significance Podcast. We'll see you soon.
Bye.